Let me show you inside an 8-figure DTC brand's Meta Ad Spy system. This AI system monitors every competitor move. It tracks and analyzes their every single ad and spots the patterns in their strategy. This system gives you all the insights you need to stand out, and it is completely automated. Let me show you how it works and walk you through the entire build. Using this AI system is actually pretty straightforward because everything is automated. All we have to do is to include the competitor we want to monitor right here. In this demo, I included Rich, Golly, and Manscaped. Once we do that, all of their ads are being automatically scraped from the Meta Ads library, which means that this whole database, every single ad is automatically populated. So we can see whether it's a video or an image, the call to action type, the body text, and the asset itself. Then an AI analysis runs in the background. So every single ad is broken down where we understand the creative style, the creative elements, the hooks, and everything we need in order to create a high-level dashboard to understand their strategy. So all of this happens in the background, so you can then take a look at the dashboard, select the competitor you want to analyze, and then understand their strategy behind their ads, whether it's their hooks and messaging, whether it's their offer and social proof strategy, or even their emotional positioning in their ads. But my favorite function here is that we have a custom AI agent connected using Claude. And then we can basically talk to the data using our agent. So the dashboard helps us understand the high-level strategy and what is happening, what are the patterns. But the agent actually helps us write our own ads based on their strategy, right? Replicating those patterns. So for example, here we could ask, what hook types is Golly using most frequently? Help me, give me 3 adapted hooks for, let's say, our company called VitaGlow. And he does that. He can access the information in this database and then give us hooks that are kind of replicating their style. So this is extremely powerful, right? On one hand, we understand the strategy, and on the other hand, we can actually leverage that to create our own. Now, if we take a closer look how this system works, first of all, we are using Apify for the scraping. We are using N8N for all of the backend infrastructure. We are using Airtable as the database and the interface. And we are using Claude and a custom MCP server to connect our agent that allows us to talk to the data. So on a high level, this happens. We have the Meta Ad library, right? All of the ads are public right there. So we add the link to that. And then all of this happens in the background. The Apify scraper runs on a regular basis to download new ads. Then all of the data is processed with N8N. This is where our AI system lives that analyzes every single ad. And once the data is cleaned up, we have the Airtable database, which then allows us to actually create the dashboard, as I said. That is the structured data, the high-level view of the analytics, mostly in tags and categories and understanding the patterns. And don't worry, we will take a closer look at that in a minute. So we can analyze the trends, the patterns, and, understanding what they're actually doing and what's probably working for them. And the second part, as I said, my favorite, is actually the natural language query, where we can talk to the data using AI. And I will then show you a few examples where we will ask a few specific questions about the strategy, and you will see how powerful this actually is. Because once the AI, the custom agent, has access to the data, which means that he knows what every single ad says, every single hook, every single image, every single video, he understands what they're doing, and he can help us take that and basically tweak it to make sure that our own strategy is actually getting inspired by the best. So as we said, we have the ads database where we store all of the ads of the competitors we are scraping. So in this example, of course, you have all of the assets and then the ad itself. So we can open it in the ad library and then you can see it right here. Of course, doing this manually would be very time consuming, very painful, and we would probably miss the patterns altogether. So that's why we store it right here into our database. Dozens, if not hundreds of ads, of course, can be right here. Now, it's important to understand the ad analysis and what we are actually looking at. All of this is highly customizable, of course, because it is a custom system developed for a brand, but you will get the idea. So you can see we have every single ad follows the same structure of analysis. First of all, we analyze the creative style, the creative elements, the hook type, the body text pattern, the offer type, the social proof type, the emotional triggers, right? So I created a little cheat sheet right here that kind of helps us understand what we are looking at when the AI is actually analyzing the ad. So for example, when we have the creative style, it can be a product shot, it can be lifestyle, UGC, demo, infographic, and AI then uses this to analyze every single ad and basically tag it and understand the patterns, right? Because once we do this for the creative style, we do it for the creative elements, whether there is text overlay, person shown, products visible, talking head. We understand the hook types, problem, solution, question, demo, testimonial. All of this is essential, right? We're spotting the patterns, understand how their ads work. And then we have the body pattern. I'm not going to get into too much detail because, as I said, this is highly customizable. But so you understand how we analyze the ads and how we spot the patterns in that. And once we do that, actually the dashboard is then visualizing this. Because, of course, we analyze every single ad. That's useful, right? So if I go here on Golly, I can see that this particular ad is product show. There is some text overlay, person shown. The hook is problem solution, the body text pattern is the problem statement, and the offer type is percentage off. That's useful, but I want to see it on a high level, and that's why I showed you the actual database. So once I go into the database and open this for competitor Golly, I can see the creative style distribution, right? So I can see most of their creative styles are product shots, some UGC styles, some demos, but a lot of them are actually talking heads, right? That's important to understand. And as we had the example right here, you can see that it actually is that. Then the creative elements, right? There can be multiple, but of course, product visible, important, text overlay, person shown. But for example, logo prominent, right? All of these elements are important to understand what's actually happening in the ad on a high level. But what's very important is to understand the hooks and messaging strategy, right? And as you can see, they are using a lot of benefit statements, right? How their product actually benefits the consumer. Then we break down the hooks. They use the problem solution in their hooks, in their videos and so on. And how this combines in the problem solution. So we can see that it's talking heads, before, after, demo, and so on. So this is not necessarily about the specific data set, but it's our ability to actually see what's important and what are they doing. Because basically at glance in one dashboard, I can quickly understand their strategy behind their advertising. And what's also important is to understand their offers, right? What are their offers? And as we can see, most of the time they are offering percentages off, sometimes bundles, but rarely ever they have no offer. So we can clearly see that they have these offers percentage off. And then the emotional positioning. And I really like this because it's important how that helps us understand how what they do to resonate with the customer, right? So we have desire, urgency, relief, FOMO, not so much, curiosity. So you can see the desire and the urgency and the relief are probably the most common emotional triggers we have right here. So now that you understand how we break this down, what is the next section where AI analyzes the ads? It's not only the tagging. It's actually we have these sections for free text, which then creates the opportunity to analyze it and work with the agent. Because every single ad is analyzed with AI, where AI describes what happens in the ad, what is the messaging angle, it analyzes the hook and the audience signal, right? So I can open this. And as you can see, the visual description is essentially describing what happens in the ad, right? Just a brief description, what happens in the ad. But it also analyzes the messaging angle, right? So you can see the core message highlights the detrimental effects of an unhealthy diet and lifestyle on gut health and overall well-being, right? So that is the messaging angle. Then we have the hook analysis. The ad immediately grabs attention with a visual metaphor, a man pouring various unhealthy foods and drinks, including coffee, energy drinks, and snacks into a visibly dirty bowl labeled your gut, right? This is one ad analysis, and now we scale it across their entire catalog of ads. Every single ad is broken down like this, which then allows us to actually use the Claude agent and talk about the data, because now he understands what's happening in every single ad, right? The technical side is not as important, because what matters is that I'm now about to show you what questions we can ask this agent. I prepared a few of them right here to see what is he going to tell us, right? So for example, let's try the hook analysis, right? When we ask about what they are using most frequently and give us some adapted hooks for our brand, right? In this demo, let's say we have a brand called Vitaglow and we want the agent to give us some ideas. So I will copy paste it here and give it a second to come up with the response. So now our Claude agent actually used the custom MCP server to connect to the Airtable, to our database, right? He pulled the ads we had right there and we asked him to give us 3 adapted hooks for our brand. So what he does, he kind of gives us the breakdown, what they are doing, right? He's describing exactly, they are using the key hook analysis, symptom stack plus visual demo, gross out plus humor, so all of their strategies are broken down right here. And most importantly, he then gives us the adapted hooks for Vitaglow. So as you can see, to basically replicate the hook, the symptom stack, problem solution, talking head, UGC. So he's using the categories, the patterns, which is perfect. And then we have the ad itself, text overlay, 5 signs your body is begging for help, right? If you are tired all the time, your skin keeps breaking out, you can't stop craving sugar, and so on. So he gives us the script, he gives us the scene, and now we can continue talking about it. But that's not it, right? We have a few more. So we have emotional triggers, white space opportunity. I think this one would be good, right? Based on all of their messaging angles and audience signals, what positioning is Goli owning and what angles are they ignoring that we could claim, right? So we can ask these open-ended questions that might not be apparent from the data set. So let's ask AI and see what it tells us. So as we ask what angles are they ignoring that our brand could claim, of course, he sends us the analysis, what they actually own, and what they are ignoring, right? They are ignoring ingredient transparency and sourcing, educating the customer, right? And then specific recommendations, just a summary for this video. The mass market, symptom relief, deal urgency, and gut health is what Goli owns. And if we want to stand out, we can claim premium transparency, informed buyer, long-term wellness, and science-backed trust. Right? So again, this is very powerful and there are many questions we can ask and actually use this to talk about the data and helps us understand not only what they're doing and how we can replicate that, but how we can actually stand out. And this is where it's very powerful because this system, the competitor intelligence, is actually only one of the things we can do with AI when it comes to meta ads. Because as you probably know, AI is getting more and more powerful and we can basically automate the whole thing with AI. The first step is the competitor intelligence. We covered that today. But the second step, which I will cover in my future videos, is actually the ad generation, right? Generating the images, generating the videos, generating the copy, all of that can be automated. And then, of course, taking the data back and understanding what's working and what's not directly connected to our Meta Ads account. Now, if you have a brand doing 7 figures or more and you would like to automate your Meta Ads like this, I will leave a link in the description so we can hop on a call and talk about that. And now if you are interested, I also want to show you how actually the backend structure in N8N looks like for this system. So for those who are interested and maybe they would like to build it themselves in their own business, I will show you what happens in the backend in N8N. So as you probably know, N8N is an automation platform, node-based automation platform. So this is what happens, right? We have first of all, the first phase is the scraping, right? Where we have the competitors, we want to scrape and populate the database. And the second part is the AI analysis. So what happens in the background is that every time this is triggered, which should be triggered on a regular basis, either when a new competitor is added or on a weekly basis. So first of all, this system, of course, goes into the database to grab the competitors we want to scrape, right? All of this is then sent to Apify for scraping. So we have a specific Apify scraper that allows us to get all of the data from the meta ads library. So we found one. It is automatically scraped all of the ads that are currently active in the ads library right here. So if we have Goli, for example, here, all of their ads that are in a specific market, in this case, we are scraping for the US, are scraped. And then our system filters out the duplicates, so it figures out what's already in our system, so we don't necessarily create duplicate entries. And then everything is inputted back into our Airtable database, right? So what I showed you right here, this is the database of all of the ads we are scraping for each of these competitors. Now, once we have the database, actually we need to make sure that everything is right here, the platforms that are advertising on, the actual asset, the body text, so as you can see, this is the the actual copy of the ad, right? That's important for the AI analysis. And when it comes to the AI analysis, then once our dashboard is populated, the database, we send it to AI for analysis, including the text of the ad and including the actual visual asset, whether it's the video, image, or whatever. AI then analyzes one by one, uses the tags, the categories we talked about, right? So we have it right here that the ad actually uses the tagging system we developed for this particular brand, right? We saw the creative style, the creative elements, as I showed you. It is right here, but it also creates the free text, which is essentially a description of the visual, of the messaging, of the hook, and the audience signals, and all of that, right? So all of that is done with one run. So the AI receives the whole bundle. This is the ad, this is the copy, the asset, and it creates the AI analysis. And once it's done, it's being uploaded into the Airtable, in which we can then create the custom dashboard and potentially connect the AI agent Claude via the custom MCP. The custom MCP is another thing that basically allows us to talk to the data that are in the database, right? So that is the backend. Now, if you want to see more videos about automating your meta ads with AI, seeing how you can generate images and videos all automated like this, or potentially connecting you to your meta ads APIs to downloading the data and letting the AI analyze it, let me know in the comments below so I record a video like that. And if you would like to implement this into your business and want my help to do this, there will be a link in the description where we can book a call and talk about this. So that's it for today, and I will see you next week. Bye.